Hello and welcome to another episode of Kia Electric News. As you may have seen in my previous video this week, Thursday morning Kia finally switched on the percentage state of charge in the EV route planner on the Kia EV6 and some Genesis models. This allowed you to see what your state of charge would be and calculate it for the whole route. So if you ran out of charge and your range wasn't good enough, it would give you multiple charges. This was done from its server side, as I suggested a few weeks back in my breakdown of the Infotainment November update. The update has not shown up yet, as far as I know, on the Nero EV from the comments in my previous videos, but I'm hopeful that it will, as this rollout seems to be deliberately staggered to prevent pressure on Kia's server infrastructure. Since then I've been bombarded with questions in the comments, so I made this little video that answers a few of the questions. Okay, a few tips for using the charge planner percentage feature, and also answering some questions I was asked during the week. If you go into EV and then press on the car, you've not plugged in, then you can see the DC charger setting is set to 80%. So if you move that to 100, that's obviously going to change what you get in the charge plan percentage feature. So I'll show you what it is in 80 for John O'Groats, and I'll show you what it is in 100 for John O'Groats. So press nav, previous, set destination. Say yes. I think the server would cache my search every time I do this because it's the same or very close, but they must look up every charger status every time, I suppose. Okay, so I've got BP pulse on the bottom. Also, if you want to see the destination state of charge, this only shows, is it 1, 2, 3 chargers, so you can actually scroll down this box John O'Groats, and you can see it. Destination state of charge at John O'Groats will be 37%. So I've got mostly Ionity and a mixture of BP pulses. So if I cancel out of this, set the charge limit back up to 100. There we go. Nav, previous, set. In theory, the charge stops should change and the percentages will change, I'm pretty sure of that. No, still got BP pulse. I haven't got rid of that yet. But at John O'Groats, it's down to 13%, which is more like what you would actually want to maximise your range. So in theory that should give you fewer stops. So I don't know if it has. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'll start the guidance. If you go and press nav now, you can actually look at a route overview, and this was the other question I was asked. Press nav now and then plan tour. You can actually see the percentages and the stops in this window here. And that's saying only 3 stops. I think it was 4 before. Anyway, that's where you see the overview after you've set the destination. Also, the pop-up window that says the charging stops will change only pops up once at the very first time you use it in the car on that day. But I've taken a picture of that. I'll put that in the video. You would have thought that if you went into Kia Live and live charging stations and filtered out BP pulse, see, I've currently only got Ionity switched on and BP pulse is turned off, but it's still finding BP pulse whether you want it or not. Where's it gone? It's there. So if I clicked on FastNed, others is turned off. So, I mean, you would hope that this filter would work on the route planner. Anyway, back out, back to nav, cancel route, start again. Nav, previous destinations, John O'Groats, press yes. We've still got BP Pulse, even though it's not on the list. But that way we've only got 3 chargers. Anyway, you get my point. I was asked if the system will reroute if a charger is busy that you have in your route plan. And the first time you use it, the system does have a pop-up, and I've recorded that screen and you can see it behind me now. This week, multiple websites reported that Kia had announced the launch price of the Kia EV5 in China as around $20,000. This is with BYD blade batteries. This is mind-blowingly cheap. It's even cheaper in UK pounds. So if you add 10% import duty and 20% VAT on top to the free trim levels, then you get, for the 88 kilowatt top line all-wheel drive one, would be 25,736. And the base model 64 kilowatt one would be, that's with a single motor for all-wheel drive, would be 22,108. I somehow doubt that this will be this cheap if we get this model in the UK, but it shows the ballpark that legacy automakers need to be in to compete with Chinese automakers. So I'm hopeful, because that will blow the competition out of the water. If anything, even if it's in sub 30 grand, it'll shake the market up. One of the new features in the November infotainment update was the tunnel mode that closes outside air vents, was also now supposed to close the car's front windows when you enter the tunnel. On my trip to Heathrow this week, I did a tunnel test on my EV6 NY22, but it did not work for me. It could have been the timing of me opening the windows too late and it was already on, but I'll need to test this again. Anybody else had success? Another new feature I used this week was the new charger split screen. I'd set Ionity Beaconsfield as my destination and can see it was a very busy charge station. When it got to 6 out of 6 stalls, it shows amber text occupied message because it was very busy. It stopped my battery preconditioning from coming on, which is a real pain because I only had to wait a few minutes. Can we please have a manual override button to start this, please? Kia, Hyundai, Genesis, please, please, please. On the positive side, it's really useful to see the destination charger changing status in real time before your eyes as you drive. That's actually a great feature. Public charge point regulations came into law in the UK this week. These, I think, have been worked out with the Electric Vehicle Association and many others. I'll just go through a summary. Right, a policy area, contactless. New public charge points of 8 kilowatt and above and existing charge points of 50 kilowatt and above must offer contactless to consumers. Proprietary networks that open their charge points for public use will have 1 year from the date that the charge point becomes public to offer contactless. And the lead time for this on existing networks is 1 year. Roaming. Charge point operators must enable consumers to pay for at least one roaming provider at their charge points. Lead time for this is 2 years. 99% reliability. Rapid charge points must be 99% reliable, measured as an average across each charge point operator's rapid network. Information on reliability compliance must be published on the charge point operator's website. They've got 1 year to comply with this. Helpline. A free-to-use 24/7 staffed telephone helpline must be available and advertised at all charge points. They've got 1 year to comply with this. And the second page of the summary. Open data. All data must be accurate and charge point operators must use the Open Charge Point interface, that's OCPI, to hold and open their data reference, and availability data must be made publicly available and in a machine-readable format. Government bodies, distribution network operators, transport owners and electricity system operators must have access to all data. And the final one, they've got 1 year to do that. And the final one is pricing metric. The maximum price of a charging session must be displayed clearly in pence per kilowatt hour. The price can be displayed either on the charge point or through a separate device. And that is immediate. Thanks for Epic winning Maz on Twitter for this summary, because I know he's involved with the EVA, and it's very useful to save digging through all the government documentation. Hope you found this episode useful. Thank you for watching.